Hello! Last time we analyzed temperature in terms of extreme heat. Today we have the mirror image case, extreme cold. It is important to show these as a pair because the methodology works the same way in both directions, whether for an anomalous minimum or an anomalous maximum. Let me remind you of the key idea. A weather app on your phone is an average forecast for a general audience, not a working tool for a precise threshold. The market doesn't ask us whether it will be hot or not. It asks specifically, will the temperature cross a certain mark at a certain hour at a specific station. Also, let me remind you about our Telegram channel. We analyze similar events and events from other categories there. For some events we also have insider information which we sometimes use to place bets. Go ahead and subscribe. We are continuing. Our mechanics are the same. The market closes at a specific, so to speak, hour and temperature threshold and a specific weather station. As a rule, it's an airport. The source of resolution is the contract, not what you see outside your window or in the news. The logic for the entry horizon also doesn't change. A 1-week forecast is too rough, but at a distance of 3 to 4 days, weather models provide accuracy within 1 to 2 degrees. In previous videos I showed a table in which I statistically drew a conclusion and calculated the percentages of convergence and divergence of the models, as well as the outcome of those events that I was guided by. And it is precisely during extreme heat that the discrepancy between the perception from headlines and the calculated probability is especially large, because heat is perceived by people as more linear and predictable than it actually is physically. Real heat waves often either break through the predicted maximum or drop sharply due to local cloud cover or a change in wind. Our tools remain the same as they were last time. Our set of tools is windy. Here we have temperature layers, wind layers, rain layers, and cloud layers. We can look at things like wind speed, at what speed and in what direction the cyclone is moving, whether it's warm or cold. We can toggle through everything and take a look. We have an hourly measurement scale, which helps us understand if market conditions for a specific hour are closing an event, so the hourly scale is very helpful for this. Since we can look at the forecast for 5 days ahead, roughly speaking, and as I already said, you need to enter 3 to 5 days before the market closes. It is at this very moment and only now that the risk to odds ratio finally aligns to suit us best. We have been waiting for this specific window of opportunity to open up. There is also an American model, a European model, and a temperature chart. If you have a general aggregated market, not just on Polymarket but somewhere else on some other platforms, it makes no difference. Our second tool is weather.gov. This is specifically a weather forecast for the States. Here it shows the minimum and maximum weather for the next few days. There is also hourly temperature, 3 days of historical archive, so to speak. But this site is only suitable for the States, for America, so we don't always use it. But it is very helpful, and in most cases we draw our conclusions based solely on it. And the third tool is AccuWeather. It's also an accurate weather forecast, and it has its own kind of temperature chart, you could say. There's also some kind of radar. You can also use it to get your bearings in general, but I don't do that. We just type in the city and look at the temperature. And one more service, weatherapi.com. It has a summary of historical temperatures in general for the months, what our highest average was, the lowest, and the overall average temperature for that month. Celsius, Fahrenheit, everything is convenient if someone is too lazy to calculate. So, let's break it down with a specific example. Will the lowest temperature in Miami be 77.6 degrees Fahrenheit on June 24th? The coefficient, as we can see, is 16.8. That is, the market didn't believe in this event at all, not even a little bit. Well, as I said earlier, everyone relies on their own feelings, intuition, and some forecasts on their phones or news reports. This is the main mistake. If you are entering this market, you shouldn't do that at all. So for step 1, what we need to do is head over to the Windy app, and then, well, we'll go ahead and select Miami as our location. We also take a comprehensive look at the broader market landscape, which essentially means we are carefully evaluating exactly which specific station we are pulling our temperature data from to ensure the most accurate and reliable readings for our analysis. This is very important because if you measure, let's say, not here but somewhere over here, then you see the temperature will differ, relatively speaking, because the general temperature for the city that is broadcast to you in forecasts or news, it doesn't matter. It is almost always different from the one measured in a specific place at the specific point that we need. So here is Miami Airport. To be more precise, you can place the point right up close. You also run through the hourly scale, look for where, so to speak, our cold extremum is, and analyze based on that, roughly speaking. This is the first step. Second step, you switch the model. You also have a point set. You run through it here, find your maximum as well, and compare the two models. And if you are going too far, 3 to 5 days, so to speak, before the market closes, then you can also connect winds here, connect all this atmosphere here, all the cold fronts, the speed, and look at the direction. That is, from here, roughly speaking, some kind of cold front is moving towards this coast. We calculate the distance, divide it by kilometers per hour, and get the number of, so to speak, hours until the cold reaches this point, roughly speaking. And we can already draw some conclusions about whether the temperature will change or not, and whether it will have time to change before the market closes as well. Wizard.gov too, since it's Miami. So yes, we go in here and look at the lowest temperature. If we also check a few hours before closing, which always increases our accuracy, we take the hourly weather forecast. There is a 2-day period here. There is this moment. So we just move the cursor like this, and right here we have the temperature indicator, so we can see what the lowest temperature is and what it will be. Roughly speaking, 85 Fahrenheit. Then we go to AccuWeather. We type in Miami and we check that as well. But since this is June 24th and it's August now, I'm just showing you an example of how this is analyzed. AccuWeather gives us practically the same forecasts as Windy and as everything else in general. I mean, not almost always, but if they coincide, that's already a sure sign that if several models match, it's obvious that you should already enter the market. This is a signal, this is a sign. And we are looking at June the 24th. 24 degrees Celsius is 76 Fahrenheit. So it turns out that our bet on yes at 16 cents, such a small coefficient, gave a 6 times return on $500. Just for the analysis. Also, the Miami Weather API shows us historical weather, that is the temperature, right? If we take June, we can understand why the market didn't believe in this event. Because our highest is 85, the lowest is 80. So the discrepancy in July was actually quite small, historically speaking, right? That's why the market doesn't believe in a figure of 76 or 77 at all. It's obvious. Hence such a coefficient. Overall, nothing complicated, as always. Weather forecasting, roughly speaking, is one of the simplest markets. The fundamental points are the same as with the heat we have, just mirrored. Check what time of day the daily maximum temperature threshold is tied to and how it feels. These are different resolution conditions and the market almost always resolves based on the first one, not the second. Check the station. An airport in a desert area is often a couple of degrees hotter or colder than the city due to the open asphalt surface and lack of buildings. Also, keep an eye on liquidity during extreme events. Volume can spike sharply in the final hours before resolution when locals see the thermometer outside their window and start entering the market on emotion. This is also important to consider. As for us, since, well, it's obvious that we aren't locals, we analyze everything using tools and data that we can see ourselves. Everything is fair, completely transparent, and above board. To summarize systematically, the methodology is the same for both anomalous cold and anomalous heat. The gap between the market price and the real probability almost always arises for the same reason. The market reacts to how the threshold sounds, not to what atmospheric physics is showing at any given moment. Extreme thresholds are systematically underestimated or overestimated by the crowd because human intuition does not work well with the tails of a distribution, whether for record cold or record heat, and weather models, on the contrary, are most informative precisely in such situations. Stable barrack systems, whether a heat dome or a cold snap, either have a clear, predictable trajectory or are clearly breaking down. There are few intermediate states. The working methodology remains the same. Do not try to predict the weather intuitively, but rather measure the degree of agreement between independent models and translate this agreement into a probability estimate, which is then compared with the market price. The difference between these two numbers is the only thing that matters for the decision on a bet, regardless of which side of the scale we are talking about. Well, subscribe to our Telegram channel, you will see a lot of useful things there, and there will be more breakdowns. Subscribe to the channel to analyze more similar events in other categories. Bye everyone, leave comments, share your analyses and successful cases. Bye everyone.